Hey guys, Jeff from Texas Motor Works, and look at what we've got here. 1983 Kawasaki KZ1000R Lawson replica. This is the real deal. So if you don't know these bikes, they made them for 2 years, 82 and 83. And 83 is the more desirable of the two, among collectors that is. They made pretty significant improvements over the 82 model. Different gauges. I believe they said the swing arm was a little bit longer. There's a couple other things that I read. But this bike is super, super clean. It is not museum quality, but it is really, really close. It has a couple of minor paint flaws that take it away from being museum quality. You can see the ding right there in the tank. I'm sure that can be taken out with a tank wizard, like a dent wizard, dentless repair guy. I just don't have a good one here that can do it, but it is accessible from inside the gas cap. Other than that, there's a little tiny chip right there, and that's really it. So I mean, it's really a 99 out of 100 in terms of condition. Mechanically, it's top notch. We've gone through everything. Change the oil, brake fluid, plugs, check the chain. When we got it, it did not have the correct emblems. In fact, it didn't have any emblems. The previous owner was restoring I don't know, honestly, I don't know what the story was, but it didn't have the side emblems, and it didn't have the Kirker badge, which is a big deal. And if you know these bikes, you know that there's 2 Kirker badges out there. The one that came on this bike, it's block letters like that. That is the correct badge for the exhaust, and it was not cheap for us to get that. The side emblems we had to get from Australia. They were not cheap either, but we've thoroughly checked out the bike and the VIN number. It's a real Lawson replica. It's a real bike. It's number, I forget what they only made 1,200 of these, and I think it's like, I think this one's 1,098 on the VIN. I have to look it up again. I went through and cleaned up the gauge cluster. These bikes have a tendency, the older bikes, they get like a plastic bleed, and the gauge cluster gets really foggy, but I went through and cleaned that up. 13,752 miles on it, and I've got the 2 screws for right here. I refinished that, so that's why I went through completely. I mean, we have thoroughly detailed this bike. So there, inside behind the headlight has all been cleaned. The wheels, the brakes, the motor, everything. It's just done pretty much with toothbrushes and Q-tips. So super clean bike. If you're familiar with these bikes, they go anywhere from 20 to 20. I think the highest one recently was about $26,000. Believe it or not, they are that collectible. There was a beater that sold on, I call it a beater. It was a decent bike, but it was nowhere near this in condition. It was on eBay about 2-3 weeks ago. It was an 82. It had the incorrect gauges. It had the incorrect pipe, and it had a lot of miles. It had, I think it was like 35,000 miles on it. And that bike sold for I think it sold for 15,500. So I'm going to aim to be at 20 grand. I think 20 grand is going to be my bottom dollar on this bike. I don't know whether to put it up for auction and see what that does, or just put it up for 20 and take 20 outright for it. But I think for this bike in this condition, and from what I've seen, I think that's a reasonable amount. And they are very, very collectible. If you don't know the bikes, do some research on them and see. But if you have any questions, you can call me direct anytime, 940-268-1060. All right, take care.